looking live in Northern Virginia at the the studios of DMVSTREAM.COM. My name, Winston Hylton. Thank you for joining us tonight. You can get at me at Twitter or at Sports Talk NC8. This is Redskins Relaunch. Thank you very much for joining us this week. Not a great week. Didn't start off good at all, simply because of what transpired over the weekend. If you've been living under a rock, the Redskins went up to Philadelphia and started off well and then fell flat on their face. Not good. So, look, we got to go over what's going down on this show today. Obviously, we'll talk about the Redskins' loss to the Eagles, 32-27 in Philadelphia. We'll talk about that Week 1 loss, what went right, what went wrong. We'll talk about the highs and the lows of Sunday. We all know what they are. We'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys coming up this week. Yes, it's Dallas week, everybody. It's kind of sad because you go from, one great half of football to a bad half of football, and now all of a sudden you face your rival and you're like, boy, is this a must-win situation for the Redskins? Is this a must-win? We got to go over the keys to the game. We got to figure out how to attack the Cowboys and how to prevent and stop them, because they looked really good against the Giants Sunday afternoon. We'll also talk about the issue that happened over the weekend. We'll start off with that. We got to talk about the defense for the Redskins. This goes into the keys to the game. Sacks. I think my thing this year is going to be the sacks. Everybody has touted the defense and how good they are, how good the defensive line is, how fast Montez Sweat is, Ryan Anderson stepping up, Ryan Kerrigan doing what he normally does and has a double-digit sack season. Well, it's going to be how many sacks can this defense get per game? And we're going to do an over and under, okay? You got to tell me over and under how many sacks it's going to take for this team to win this game. Last week I said 5 sacks and they definitely win. Goose egg against Carson Wentz. Not good. We'll also talk about Antonio Brown, because we have to. Also, we'll go around the NFL as well. A lot of good games, a lot of stinkers, a lot of news that happened around the NFL. We'll talk about the Nationals. Not great in Atlanta. Not great in New York. Not great in Minnesota. Overall, just not a great week for your Washington Nationals. And it's not getting any easier. Twins this week, Atlanta over the weekend. It's going to be a rough ride. They better put their big boy pants on, because it's time to start playing some good baseball. And guess what's back starting tomorrow, starting Thursday? Hockey. We'll talk about hockey and Washington Capitals and some OVOs later on in the show. And, man, what happened to the Maryland football program? Where did this come from? Who transplanted Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and put them in College Park? Who did that beside the E's? All right, let's start talking about the Redskins and Adrian Peterson. Obviously, we can. You know what? Let's hold. Nick is the man hitting the switches this week. Nick, how you doing, man? I know it was a great weekend for you. What was it like? What happened?
It was a good weekend. Besides my fantasy teams 0-3, 3 leagues. That was pretty rough. But other than that, good football weekend. Glad it was back. Good college football, actually, too,
yes,
for a change.
Yes. We love college football. We'll talk about your fantasy team, my fantasy team. Sorry, bro, but I was 2-0. Had good weeks, had productive weekends from a sleeper, Sammy Watkins. Yep, had that one. I have Austin Eckler on both of my teams. That helped out immensely. Thanks to Drew Brees, I ended up coming back to win on Monday night. That was great.
Great game.
So it was not a bad weekend. Something tells me it's all going to go downhill for me in my fantasy teams as of this week 2. But at least, and this is something that happens with me and my friends, at least I didn't go 0-6. I was not. I did not go 0-6, which is that's not a good benchmark at all. All right, so Look, we got to talk about Adrian. No, we'll save Adrian Peterson. Let's talk about this Eagles game. All right, so when you saw the game, you saw Redskins go up 7-0 with that awesome play by Vernon Davis. I mean, and we'll talk about Vernon Davis later on in the show as well because, he was playing for something a little bit bigger than the Redskins and what have you. Was playing inspired football. But when you saw that play, when you saw the McLaurin play, when you saw just the offense working the way that they were working against the Eagles defense, you had to be saying to yourself, wow, what happened to this team? Where was this team in the preseason? Where was this team in 2018? Where was this team in 2017? They looked good, okay? Like I said, the offense was clicking. They were moving the ball through the air. Case Keenum had a really good game. He threw for 380 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, the third touchdown was garbage touchdown. But in any event, I mean, he was spreading the ball around more than I think there were at the first quarter or something like that. He spread the ball around from, I think it was about 9 to 10 receivers, 8 to 9 receivers or something like that, different receivers. So I mean, he was spreading the ball around, which is what Jay Gruden does. He spreads the ball around. So it was good to see that. But then all of a sudden, it was like the flick of the wrist. All of a sudden, you could almost say the play of the game was Jonathan Allen getting hurt. After he went out, the Eagles attacked the inside. They attacked the middle, and they kept on running it right up the gut. And it was almost like the air had been taken out of the Redskins' sails. And, I understand that Jonathan Allen is that good of a player, but is he that good where he is the difference maker on that defense? You tell me on Facebook. Get at us on Facebook. Let us know, is Jonathan Allen that difference maker on the defense? Because apparently he was. Because the Redskins defense didn't have any fight or was not able to contain the Eagles offense following his departure from the game. So all in all, I'm going to say I was impressed by the Redskins offense for one half. And then I was extremely disappointed in the offense. Maybe it wasn't even the offense's. It was the offensive production I was disappointed in. It was the offense's execution I was disappointed in, as well as the offense's scheme and play calling. That all comes from one person, and that's Jay Gruden. Got to do better than that. I put up a tweet after the half saying, basically, and Nick can put this up, basically saying, the Eagles, this was after the Redskins had gone up 17-7 and going into the half. So the Eagles have made adjustments. Can Jay make the adjustment to the adjustments? And normally in the NFL, at NFL halftime, both coaches are making adjustments. Apparently, Jay Gruden did not make an adjustment. Doug Peterson made an adjustment. Now, if you're leading 17-7, you have to make an adjustment because the Eagles are going to make an adjustment to how well you have been playing in the first half. So you have to make an adjustment to their adjustment. They're going to be able. They're going to go in. They're going to look at some film. They're going to look at some different plays, and they're going to say, okay, well, we have to stop this, stop that. Those 3 or 4 plays that you have been excelling in the first half, and that unfortunately did not happen for the Redskins. So, again, Josh Allen going down, Quentin Dunbar went down as well. I mean, that was 2 guys on the defensive end that were our starters are going to be counted on quite a bit, and both of them went out. Now, I was listening to Kendrick Golston on one of the local radio stations, and he was saying that it wasn't necessarily Allen's departure, it was the placement of which his replacements were put in. So apparently, says they put Tim Settle, who came in for Allen, they put him at a nose tackle, and then they put Deron Payne at the right defensive end, and they basically shifted everybody over, which that didn't necessarily work too well. And he said, Ked also said it wasn't anything against Tim Settle or Deron Payne. It just they were out of place in the Redskins scheme against the Eagles at that time. Which makes you think, how come, the coaching staff of the D-line, how come they had not planned for this? That should have been planned for. All right. So, Redskins now 0-1. Have to move on to Dallas. What we're going to do is we're going to take a break. We'll be joined by Redskins insider from SportsJourney.com, Lake Lewis. That and more as Redskins Relaunch returns. We'll be right back. Stop.
8, 9.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be week to week. I think, we'll have to wait and see numbers-wise, really. He's a first, second down back, and so is Darius. So, really, what do we have, about 20 first downs a game, and probably 8 of those are passes, 12 of those might be runs, and Darius can handle those 12. So, if we have a game where we think we can run the ball 55 times in a game in I formation, then sure, I'll get him up.
Back to Redskins Relaunch. I'm your host, Winston Hylton. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Again, Redskins 0-1 to start the season, losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I guess the biggest story from the weekend was not necessarily the loss, but it was how the Redskins lost and the assets or weapons that they did not have on the field in Philadelphia, namely one number 26 name would be Adrian Peterson. That was, you just heard Jay Gruden talking about Peterson, who was deactivated, not even dressed for the Philly game. And basically Jay's kind of, I don't know, kind of flippant attitude about how, if Peterson would be called up to the team, or if he would dress, or if he would be active in future games during the season. Well, come to find out on Monday that Darius Geis had an MRI and he has a meniscus injury. We don't know when he's going to be back, but somebody who may know or may be able to shed some light on things that are going around Redskins Park is Lake Lewis from SportsJourney.com. Lake, how you doing, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Always good, always good. All right, look, Lake, I gotta look. What in the world was going through the head of Jay Gruden on Sunday morning? I mean, deactivating somebody like Adrian Peterson for what he says. Well, explain what was going through Jay's mind.
Well, his theory, which has been true over the years, is that the Redskins carry 4 running backs on their roster, but come game day, only 3 are active, one's inactive. And last year we saw Samaje Perine. When he was here, he was inactive pretty much most of the year. That's just the way they do stuff. But no offense to Samaje Perine, who's not even on the team now. He's in Cincinnati. He's no Adrian Peterson.
Right.
And we're talking about, you can make an argument, one of the top 5 backs in the history of the game. His numbers prove that. And he's a guy he was your MVP last year, offensive MVP. So he didn't do anything to not only lose his starting job, he didn't do anything to basically be inactive. And I understand if you're going to only keep 3 running backs active, and one of those guys, Wendell Smallwood, is a guy that gives them some special teams play, which Adrian Peterson nor Chris Thompson do. I get that. But at the end of the day, you're talking about one of the best of all time. And it just, to me, it was a slap in the face. So to answer your question, what was Jay thinking? I know what he wasn't thinking. I don't think he thought that there was going to be this kind of backlash, and it was a lot. And it wasn't just from us in the media. It was from players in the locker room, fans. It just did not sit well with a lot of people. And one thing about Jay is he's stubborn, and he still hasn't admitted any wrongdoing in that because he believes in what he believes as far as how he carries his roster. But I'd be hard-pressed to think that Adrian Peterson's going to be inactive from here on out. I don't care if Darius Geis comes back 100% healthy. Adrian Peterson's going to be suited up.
I got it. I mean, this was. I mean, there's obviously been theories and what have you as to why Jay would do this. I mean, I know Geis is one of Jay's guys, one of the picks that he's drafted since he's been here with the Redskins. Obviously, last year's 2nd-round pick. But I mean, one of my theories, and I'll bring this to everybody else on Redskins Relaunch right now, and Nick can play this, but if you remember last week when the Redskins had their welcome home luncheon, the Redskins 2018 offensive MVP said something to the effects of, well, you know what, I'm happy to be a Redskins. Matter of fact, Nick, if you wouldn't mind playing that now.
I'm so blessed to be a Redskin. And,
Basically says,
God
hopefully
willing,
I'll be back to repeat it again next year. There you have it. Basically AP saying that hopefully I'll be back to repeat as offensive MVP. It was almost one of those things like, is that right? Is that what you think you're going to do? You're going to repeat as offensive MVP? Well, let me show you if that's what Jay was thinking. I'm like I said, this is far into left field. I've heard other theories about AP's closeness with Trent and how he's talked about Trent and what have you. There are so many conspiracy theories. What else have you heard, Lake?
Well, I think that one of the big telling things is they believe in Darius Geis, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
That's good. I mean, they expect a lot out of the young back. I also think they look around their division and they see the Cowboys gave Zeke Elliott that kind of money to be, one of the top backs in the league. And then in New York, you have Saquon Barkley, who's a phenomenal talent. He's a freak. And so you see those 2 young guys that, already in their young careers. Saquon was a rookie last year. Zeke is in his 3rd, 4th year. You already have these guys being talked about as the best back in football. And I think the Redskins see that, and they feel like they have a guy that they can feature too in Darius Geis. But see, the difference with all that is, one, those 2 guys I just named don't have Hall of Famers behind them.
No.
And number 2, which is the biggest thing, is that neither one of those guys are coming off knee injuries.
Right.
And to basically put that kind of load on Darius from the jump when he didn't have a big preseason, meaning he didn't carry the ball a whole lot except for the 3rd game. So you just threw him to the wolves in the first game. And the first game is a game where you do the numbers and do the math and go back and research when a bulk of injuries happen in the NFL. It's week one.
Yeah.
It never fails. It's because guys are not in football condition as far as being hit. Um, in your own practices, you can be physical from the point of attack, but you're really not taking guys to the ground every day. So the first game is kind of raggedy in a lot of ways as far as the tackling, and guys get hurt.
Yep.
Darius Geis hurt himself in the first game, and who's to say that it was just too much wear and tear on his body? And I just don't understand why the Redskins and Jay Gruden in general would not ease him into that role. And I'm just saying it not from the standpoint that he doesn't touch the ball 10, 12 times a game, but maybe he does. But at the end of the day, Adrian Peterson starts the game. Maybe Darius Geis is the guy that you're feeding at the end of the game if you have a lead.
Yes.
The bottom line is Adrian Peterson didn't do anything to lose his job.
Correct.
And for it to be just handed to a rookie, Darius or any rookie for that matter, it's a tough sell to a lot of people because they really haven't earned their keep. I know people are going to say, well, what about Terry McLaurin? That's a little different because the guy that he replaces in the lineup was a first-round draft pick that had been given multiple chances to play like a first-round draft pick, and he didn't. So I understand that move. But I always tell people, and I've been saying this, since Sunday, for everyone out there that understands why Dwayne Haskins shouldn't start right now, people were saying because you don't want to get him shell-shocked early in his career, not playing against these 4 teams that they have to start the season with, or 5 teams. It was a lot of excuses as to why you don't want to throw him to the wolves yet. Let Case play, and if Case falters, then you make the move.
Right.
Why couldn't that be at the running back position?
Precisely.
It's the same scenario.
Precisely. I mean, you put it so eloquently. It's sort of like, as a guy that is coming off of an injury, why would you not ease him back? It just seems like not the smartest thing to do. But I'm not a football coach. I'm not paid to be one. If I was one, I would have played Adrian Peterson. So that's, I guess.
Look at what happened. That game was tailor-made for Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
Because you saw it happen. When Darren got hurt, the running game really wasn't doing much in the first place. And that's not just on Darius. The blocking wasn't there. Scheme wasn't there for the running game to be successful. And Jay abandoned the run, which he does a lot. So the game was tailor-made, though. When you're up 17 points, maybe it's time to switch gears a little bit. Maybe it's time to you have some time to kind of force feed the run to get something going. But when you Jay will tell you when they get like a holding penalty or first down they don't get any yardage, and second down they get 2-3 yards. There's an obvious passing down on third down. But my thing is they run on first down
Predictably.
Yeah, exactly.
Predictably.
And then they go away from it.
Yes.
So it's like, what's wrong with running on second down? When Chris comes in the game, Chris Thompson, I can almost tell you exactly what's going to happen.
Yes.
It's either a draw play to him or it's a little bubble screen.
Exactly.
And so it's like, come on, man, be more creative. And not to get long-winded here, but that was my big issue with the game in general.
Yes.
Regardless of Darius or whatever, I just felt like at halftime, the Eagles coaches figured some things out, and they came out and took it right to the Redskins. And the Redskins had no answers. To me, that's not just the talent on the field. That's the coaching that didn't help the talent on the field, because I saw the talent on the field in the first quarter, second quarter, first half of the game, showing me they can run with Philly, But what happened in the second half? Well, I think the Redskins coaches got severely outcoached.
Bruh, and Nick just put it up on our screen. I tweeted out right after halftime, I think right after the Eagles scored that second touchdown, I said, so the Eagles have made adjustments. Can Jay make the adjustment to the adjustment? And that did not happen.
No, it didn't. And, for everyone that keeps throwing out there, that, penalties kill drives, and Jay didn't get a holding penalty, he didn't get an offsides penalty. Bull. He's your coach. He's supposed to keep you from getting those penalties.
Yes.
And a telling thing to me was I was watching the Monday night game the other night, which was incredible.
Such a good game. The Saints and Texans.
Exactly, it was incredible. And late in the game, right before when New Orleans got the ball back to try to drive down the field, they were on the sidelines, and you heard they had Sean McVay.
Yes.
They said, I mean, not Sean McVay. I'm sorry.
Sean Payton.
Sean Payton
Yep.
was mic'd up. They said Sean Payton is mic'd up, and
He
you
was
heard
yelling
him
it.
saying, "Do not get any penalties.
He was
do
yelling
your job.
Absolutely.
But do not get any penalties." He said it 3 times. That was basically all he said.
Yes.
That's coaching.
That's coaching.
That's letting guys know, don't get any stupid penalties.
Yes.
How many times have the Redskins getting these stupid penalties?
Every game.
Yeah. And to me, yeah, you can say the onus is on the player on the field to not get a penalty, but I also think it's coaching. I really do. And you know, Winston, I've been a Jay supporter for a long time.
Right.
Long time. I'm a little frustrated right now, man. I just see this as you sit in that press box, we go on the field pregame and all this stuff, and you just see the same stuff, and it's like, okay, what's changing here?
Nothing.
This is the same thing I saw 6 years ago.
Yes.
When he was a rookie coach.
Yep.
I understand that wasn't his team. Wasn't his team for maybe 2-3 years. But this is his team now.
Yep.
I mean, if you saw what he did to Adrian Peterson, you know this is his team. Okay, so the coach has to get the blame for this. He has to. There's no other way of getting around it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. All right, we got to switch gears because I got to get your thoughts on the Cowboys. I mean, they looked really good against the Giants. How can this Dak, Zeke, you got Amari Cooper, you have Jason Witten back, he's 9,000 years old. How does this Redskins defense, possibly without Jonathan Allen, how can they stop this Cowboy offense? Not only that, but the Cowboy defense actually played pretty well as well. So, you're going up against a good defense and a good offense, and can this Redskins team, what can they do? I know it's a rivalry, so you can't, anything can happen, but how does this happen for the Redskins?
I think that surprisingly, I have a different approach with this one. They have to make Dak Prescott beat them. And I know,
yes.
And people keep saying, "Oh, but he's capable." Of course he is. He's a good young quarterback, but he's flawed in some ways. And I think that what we saw against the Giants was just an atrocious Giants defense. Let's just call it like it is. I mean, they didn't have their guy back there that they used to have roaming back there, who's now playing for the Redskins, and Landon Collins. And they picked apart their secondary. The Redskins have way better talent on defense. Didn't show in the second half against the Eagles, but they do. And I think that if that room is what I think they are, very prideful, they're going to come out and take this on themselves to play better against the Cowboys. And you go back to last year in the first game, the Redskins won 20-17 on the missed field goal at the end by the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. They shut Zeke Elliott down.
Yes,
and that's the blueprint. You have to take him away first because he's a big piece to the puzzle for their offense. Yeah, they have more weapons now. I think Gallup and Randall Cobb. I mean, they've got some nice young receivers to complement Amari Cooper and Cole Beasley. And then you bring Jason Witten back. So they're loaded on offense. They really are. Great offensive line. So you have to ask yourself, where is the weak link on that offense? And surprisingly, most people probably would tell you is Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And that's not to knock him. That's not saying he's a bum. No, he's good. But you've got to make him uncomfortable. You've got to get some pressure on him. And they got no pressure last week on Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz stood back there and looked over and ordered some cheesesteaks and still threw the football.
You just made me hungry.
They can't have that happen again. And then the other thing is they struggle a little bit. The Redskins defense, I've noticed over the years, putting together all these pieces where they still struggle with mobile quarterbacks. Guys that can move around and make and extend plays, and that's where Carson beat him last week as well. So that's Dak Prescott. He can extend some plays with his legs. So they're gonna have to watch him stay in their gaps, stay in their lanes. Not let him break a play down. But listen, at the end of the day, I hate to say it, man, but it all comes down to schemes and coaching. And which Redskins team is going to show up? The team that came out in the first half against the Eagles and had a great scripted play calling. That was something that was practiced for 3 weeks. You know that, I know that.
Right.
But when they got off the script, once Philadelphia figured out the script, what happened after that? Well, that's where I need to see Jay Gruden and Greg Manusky and company put together something that can compete against the Cowboys.
Got to be able to adjust to the adjustments.
Yes.
That's the NFL. That was something that Joe Gibbs was extremely good at, and that's why he's a Hall of Fame coach. But Jay has never been good at that. Hopefully, he can figure it out. But between now and Sunday, we'll see. We'll see. Lake, tell them what you got cooking with the Sports Journey.
Oh man, we've got a lot of stuff. The folks over at Sports Journey, my staff, they've been doing an excellent job. Covering the local scene here in DC, and Diane Cheesebro, Karita Parks, Mike Gray, and then Gina Bland is down there in Florida doing great stuff as well. Jeff Little's out in Los Angeles doing great stuff. So we've got our crew, and it's getting ready to ramp up a little bit more here. Bring some college football coverage, college basketball this year.
Woo-hoo, yes.
Yeah, and I've been doing some stuff with Heavy.com. I'm their Redskins guy, so my work's been going on there. But my podcast has picked back up. After practice with Lake Lewis, and you can click on that on Sports Journey. But you also can listen to that on pretty much every podcast format: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. It's all on there. So. Yeah, just follow me on social media at Lake Lewis. Lake
Lewis on Twitter, Instagrams. What are some of the others? Snapchats and all this
Facebook.
Other face.
I don't Snapchat. I've never done that. That's too sudden for me, so I don't do that. But on Instagram, yes, at Lake Lewis Jr. actually, and then on Lake Lewis Jr. on Facebook. But on Twitter, it's Lake Lewis. So. Yeah, I'm out there.
Make sure you check him out at sportsjourney.com. You can catch his podcast. A daily podcast or just after practice?
Nope, it's a daily after practice podcast. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So catch him daily on sportsjourney.com. All of my friends over at the Sports Journey. Lake Lewis, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I will hopefully see you at practice either tomorrow or at the game.
Friday. Okay. All right, my friend. I will see you then. Take care, brother.
All right. Take it easy, man. Thank you very much. That was Lake Lewis of sportsjourney.com and heavy.com. Always has great intel as far as the Redskins are concerned. He basically lives at Redskins Park. So he kind of has the ins and outs over there. So make sure you check him out on sportsjourney.com. All right. Let's take a quick break. We're going to talk more about the Redskins and Jay Gruden's philosophy. After you heard that opening soundbite about him, he was kind of flipping about, sure, if we have, 55 carries in the game, we're running I formation, sure, we'll call him up. Well, guess what? You're going to have to call him up, bro. That and more as Redskins Relaunch returns. We'll be right back.
This content is brought to you by Dental Associates. For more than 39 years, Dr. Stephen Price has been practicing dentistry in Northern Virginia. A member of the American Dental Association, the Northern Virginia Dental Society, and the Virginia Dental Society, Price is considered an expert in Invisalign and continues to be an award-winning innovator in the industry. This content is brought to you.
Obviously it's an issue. He's a great player, had 1,000 yards for us last year. We have 15 games left. There's a lot of the season left. I expect Adrian Peterson to play and play well when he does play. So it could be this week. And Adrian's ready to go. He's got a great attitude about it. I know he's not happy about it. But when his number's called, he'll be ready to go. And his number will be called.
All right, welcome back to Redskins Relaunch. I'm your host, Winston Hylton. Thank you very much for joining us again tonight. I'd like to thank Lake Lewis for joining us as well from sportsjourney.com, breaking it down as far as the Adrian Peterson issue was concerned, as well as talking about just keys to the game against the Cowboys. His key, I'll bring it up a little bit later on in the show as we talk about how to beat the Cowboys. But wanted to get back to Adrian Peterson, and that was Jay Gruden talking. You almost hear how Jay basically changed tunes about Adrian Peterson, just saying that, yes, sure, there is an issue. He's not happy about, talking about Peterson, he's not happy about, not playing, being deactivated, but, he's a professional. He's Adrian Peterson. He's going to be ready to play when we call his number. Bruh, go ahead and dial 26 on your phone and go ahead and get him ready, because it's time to ride the Adrian Peterson train through Dallas onto the Bears next Monday night. Now, Darius Geis, we still, again, are uncertain exactly what the severity of the meniscus injury is, so we don't know exactly when he's going to be coming back. But, you are going to have to use Adrian Peterson now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hopefully, Adrian Peterson, after an offseason of some financial questions, as well as just, again, like I said, he was the 2018 offensive Redskins MVP. So I believe he is ready for the job. Let's get to some of our comments that our Facebook fans have left us. We have Ronald Williams talking about our question of the night, which I posed early on in the show. What is your confidence in Jay Gruden as a coach? Question number one. Question number two, is benching Adrian Peterson a fireable offense? All right. Dale Sadashi Jr. says absolutely. Okay.
With a couple likes.
With yes. I mean, I haven't had that many likes on my Facebook page since ever. Ronald Williams says, better question, will Dan actually fire him? Probably not. Listen, and this is the thing, it's sort of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. We've roasted Daniel Snyder for being very impulsive and firing coaches and firing GMs and firing presidents and this, that, and the other very quickly. I'll give Dan Snyder a lot of credit. He's been very patient with this regime. He's been very patient with Bruce Allen. He's been very patient with Jay Gruden. I will give him a lot of credit for that. Whereas now everybody is telling him to fire him. What happens if Dan does fire him? Then all of a sudden it's like, same old Redskins. So Dan's almost like, what? Doesn't really matter what I do because nobody's going to like me. He owns the Redskins. It doesn't necessarily matter if people like him. It matters if he's getting the job done the right way and it's getting done correctly. So hopefully that answer will come to Snyder eventually. I'm not hoping for anybody to lose their job. I like to be gainfully employed. Hopefully can stay that way for a long, long time. So I'm not wishing any ill will on anybody, but we have to make sure that people are doing their jobs. Also, Coley Dearman talking about the running back experience. He says, no experience and a bad O-line, basically for the reasons as to the Eagles' loss on Sunday. Also says about Darius Geis, he can pass block better than AP. I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure about that. Colvin Underwood, thank you very much for joining us. Greg Lancaster joining in saying, and getting the running back in the fourth round is looking better and better. I totally agree. Bryce Love, who's on the PUP list right now, tore his ACL in December from Stanford, the rookie running back. He's not going to be ready until November possibly. And even then, he's not going to be 100%. So at this point, he's a 2020 roster player. So we will patiently await his return to the Redskins. Also, Colvin Underwood, a friend to this program, he says, Jay doesn't inspire confidence from his players. His teams don't win big games. His teams lack the ability to adjust. Boom, bingo. Finally, he can't catch a break with anything. He is what he is, and that's not good enough. Okay, very poignant take on that. Colvin Underwood, who I can't wait to hear from him next time he's on this program. He was live and in living color in Jacksonville when the Chiefs played the Jags opening weekend. So I can't wait to hear some of the stories that he has to tell about his rendezvous with the Chiefs in Jacksonville and that fantastic weather that they have down in Florida. At least it was, it was sunny. At least it was sunny in Jacksonville. All right, let's talk about Antonio Brown. Oh, man, this dude has come up and gone down.
And up again.
And up again and back down again. Just that quickly. It was like a blink of an eye. Like, dude, wait a minute. You were at the bottom of the barrel with the Raiders, like, suspended and talking about, having to give back money and this, that, and the other, fines and what have you. And you're like, all right, well, let me go pick a fight with the GM. And then you're suspended. Like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to play. Well, then he's like, well, my bad. I'm sorry, bro. My bad. I got this thing in my back of my head. That's my brain and says, oh, man. He went loco, apologized to his team. And the Raiders were like, good enough for me. That's fine. Come on, man. Come on and play. It's all good. No harm, no foul. And then literally like 12 hours later, he's like, man, just release me. And they're like, okay, whatever you say. Like, what? What just happened? Oh, man. I'm very shocked and surprised that the Raiders, an NFL team, and you know how money hungry all NFL teams and NFL owners are. I'm surprised they didn't try to nickel and dime him for every penny that they may have been about to pay him. But anyway, he got his release. 2 days later, he's with the Patriots. Nick, the guy's with the Patriots. Just like that. Like, he goes from, basically dog food to caviar and steak just like that. How do you pull a boss move like that?
Yeah, to me, it's almost too calculated. And they asked Drew Rosenhaus on SportsCenter today, and obviously he's going to deny it even with a smile. But it seemed like New England was offering Pittsburgh a first-round pick for Antonio Brown back when he was on the team. Steelers flatly said no, probably smart. We don't want to trade our best player to our top competition rivals. They say yes to a worse offer, a fifth, third-round pick just to get him into Oakland, and he doesn't last, a month there, not even a week of training camp, and he moves his way to the Patriots. It just seems too calculated, too perfect, and just too, wrong for the Patriots to end up with this good of a player for less than what they were going to give up in the first place.
Exactly. Basically, picked him off the scrap heap. Aren't you? How are they this lucky? I don't know if it's necessarily luck, because I kind of agree with you. I think something may have been calculated with this move, because all of a sudden training camp starts. The all season is great, and all of a sudden he comes in to Raiders camp in a hot air balloon with busted feet.
Yep.
What? Huh? Okay, so now he's with the Patriots, and then literally Tuesday night, you hear of some allegations of sexual, not sexual misconducts, but sexual harassment and what have you, and basically his former personal trainer coming out and saying that he raped her. So then AB goes on the defensive and basically shares a tweet that he sent her, basically saying very many expletives, and
it was a direct message between the two.
Yeah, direct message, and it wasn't necessarily the best look, as far as the level of his vocabulary. You know what? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just quick typing. Well, then maybe he was just quick typing. You don't necessarily want to spell out all the words, and maybe that's what it was. I'm going to go with that. But then he kind of outlines exactly what happened. Not saying that he's been falsely accused, or if the allegations are actually true. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying of what the proof is that he sent out the direct message and shared it with the world. That probably he could have saved with his lawyer and then brought that out at the trial or what have you. And then also the lawyer's letter as well, basically saying that it was consensual. I was not in the room. I don't know whether it was or not, but in any event, he's already brought bad publicity to a Patriot organization trying to get over Robert Kraft and the whole massage thing and sexual sex trafficking. Really? A good friend of mine said today, she said, the NFL is just the worst. They're hypocrites to the 1,000th degree. A guy can beat up, rape a girl, and do everything, but you just can't kneel. And that's the truth about the NFL. That's the truth. All right, let's go around the NFL. Hey, look, what a game in New Orleans. Lake alluded to it, the Houston Texans and the New Orleans Saints. So everybody saw it. You saw Houston in 2 plays go 75 yards, the touchdown to Kenny Stills with 37 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. Basically, and I talked about this with some of my coworkers. Basically, we were like, I think they left Drew Brees a little bit too much time. 30 seconds? That's way too much time for 40-year-old Drew Brees, let alone anywhere younger Drew Brees. But in any event, Brees drove the Saints down the field, and Willets kicked a 58-yard field goal to win it as regulation expired. So that was a great game, a good Monday Night Football game with Booger McFarland and Joe Tessitore. I'm not going to lie, I had the game on mute, wasn't really listening to the game, but the game itself was pretty good. Also, Baltimore, the Ravens. Ooh. Oh, man, they look strong. They looked really strong against the Dolphins. Here's a question. Was it really how good the Ravens are, or was it how bad the Dolphins are?
And the Dolphins get New England next weekend, so we won't really know for a couple weeks.
Yeah, the reports after the game saying that a lot of Dolphins players, they want to get out of town immediately. They want to get traded. They want to get released. They just want out of Miami. Which you never ever
tough,
think
you
never think you'd hear people want to leave Miami.
That's really bad.
That's prime time spot right there. You got South Beach right there. You're training in Florida. Like, what? Okay. Which is kind of a sad indication about, who the Dolphins hired as their coach, Brian Flores. He's not going to get a fair shake. Remember last year or 2 years ago, Arizona hired another coach.
Steve Wilks.
Yeah, Steve Wilks from Carolina. He never ever got a fair shake. He was out 1 year. This man being the same kind of case, and both of the coaches, guess what they are? African-American coaches. Not necessarily a great thing. Colvin Underwood checking in, saying AB should be on the exempt list. If he isn't, then you can say the league favors the Patriots. Probably. And this is a Chiefs fan talking. So, yeah. I'm just saying. Come on, Colvin. Come on. Throwing a little salt here. A little salt. All right. Speaking of the Patriots, they looked really good against Pittsburgh. Again, it's one of those cases where Pittsburgh didn't seem to be awake. It's sort of like they wanted to play. They figured they were going to play Tuesday or either Sunday. They weren't ready on Monday. But anyway, Tom Brady looked good. Josh Gordon looked good. I was about to call him Melvin Gordon. Josh Gordon looked good. And, not sure exactly what happens with this AB situation, but imagine adding him to that offense. It kind of is almost not fair. Buffalo comes back to beat the Jets. The Jets looked pretty good, and then all of a sudden, they did a Redskin.
They Jets, too.
Yeah, no, they Redskinned. That's what they did. The Jets Redskin. Is that bad? We've turned Redskin into a verb. They Redskinned. Went up early and then collapsed. Boom. Hashtag that. Put it on a T-shirt and sell it. As we've already mentioned, Dallas crushed Eli and the Giants. Saquon Barkley got off. He looked pretty good. But, when you get behind that early, how many times can you really hand off to Saquon Barkley? It's not like he can, score. Actually, he can score a touchdown in about 10 seconds. That happened to the Redskins last year. Yeah, exactly. And the top pick in the draft, Kyler Murray, comes out of nowhere and pulls out a tie against the Detroit Lions. What? Really? Now, that's funny. Let's talk about some fantasy teams right now. I was facing Kyler Murray, and going into the 6 o'clock hour into the fourth quarter, I was like, oh, this is a piece of cake because he had only scored 3 points. And I'm like, oh, man, this is in the bag. All of a sudden, I see 30 points up there, and I'm like, what just happened? And then I turn on the game, the Cardinals-Lions game, and I'm like, Really, really, Detroit. What is going on here? I will give credit to Kyler Murray. He ended up leading the Cardinals back. I mean, that's great and all, but I was looking for a shutout from him as far as fantasy purposes were concerned. So you said you were 0-3. Who are your players that underperformed? I'm sure there were a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Freeman,
Yep.
Falcons running back. I have
Yep.
him in all my leagues. He really let me down. I was going up against Sammy Watkins, so that's
yes.
killed me in one. I mean, I scored 150 in one league and lost, so that's just bad luck. But Zeke, I guess they're easing him back in. Not the biggest day. And then receivers, Thielen, he really let me down.
Yeah.
And they didn't throw the ball at all. Minnesota, Dalvin Cook just ran the ball.
There's going to be a lot of that in Minnesota, something tells me. I'm not quite sure if Kirk Cousins is going to spread the ball around like he did here with the Redskins as well as in Minnesota last year. All right, let me give you a breakdown of at least one of my teams.
One of the victorious teams.
Yes, one of my 1-0 teams. The name of my team is Bruce Allen-esque. I'm such a fan. Drew Brees was my quarterback. Thank you very much. Juju Smith-Schuster, who, he peed in the bed. Not really good.
The whole Steelers team did.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up leaving the game early. Let's see, who else? Philip Lindsay. Not necessarily a stellar night against the Raiders defense, which surprisingly was pretty good.
The whole
Denver,
Raiders team surprisingly.
Yeah, they were. I guess Gruden got those boys, to come around. Austin Eckler. I don't know if you have him, but you might want to take a look on the waiver wire because he's a boss.
Picked up.
Yeah, he was pretty good. 12 rushes, 58 yards, touchdown. He caught some passes as well. The dud of my lineup was Kyle Rudolph. He's already gone off my team. He's gone.
Didn't last the week.
Already. Did not last a week. And I have some IDPs as well, but offensively, not a bad day. Again, Sammy Watkins helped out on another team. Austin Eckler, he was my MVP of the weekend. He's probably going to have to be my MVP of the weekend, all weekends. But please send me on Twitter, Facebook, or what have you. Send me some of your fantasy lineups. I want to get some of your thoughts on, who to sit, who to start. There's again, like I said, Austin Eckler. If you can't find him, you might want to find him now. Something tells me with Hunter Henry going down for the Chargers as tight end, there's going to be a lot of people picking up 95-year-old Antonio Gates
Or Jason Witten.
or Jason Witten. Yeah, but Dallas has those two tight ends though.
Yep.
So you don't know who Dak is
Antonio Gates still on the Chargers?
He probably isn't, but then again, I mean, he
is now.
Somehow he was on the team last year. It would not surprise me if he ended up, the Chargers.
Yep.
Hey, you got one more year out of you.
You got 15 games, 16.
You look 10. We'll sit you.
Yep.
We'll do an Adrian Peterson on you for like 3 games and not activate you. All right. We'll talk about other DMV sports when we return. We're wrapping it up on DMVSTREAM.COM's Redskins Relaunch. I'm your host, Winston Hylton. We'll talk some Nats. We'll talk some Terps. And our keys to the game as far as the Cowboys are concerned and the Redskins game coming up this Sunday. Yes, it is Dallas week, so we have to talk about it. We'll be right back.
This content is brought to you by Dental Associates. For more than 39 years, Dr. Stephen Price has been practicing dentistry in Northern Virginia. A member of the American Dental Association, the Northern Virginia Dental Society, and the Virginia Dental Society, Price is considered an expert in Invisalign and continues to be an award-winning innovator in the industry. This content is brought to you by Dental Associates. For more than 39 years, Dr. Stephen Price has been practicing dentistry in Northern Virginia. A member of the American Dental Association, the Northern Virginia Dental Society, and the Virginia Dental Society, Price is considered an expert in Invisalign and continues to be an award-winning innovator in the industry.
All right, welcome back to Redskins Relaunch. I'm your host, Winston Hylton. We're wrapping up the show this week. We got to look ahead to the Redskins and Cowboys, but first we got to talk about some other DMV sports, including the Nationals. Not a good weekend in Atlanta at all. Not a good night in Minnesota on Tuesday night. Listen, this team they've got to get back to the way they were playing at the beginning of August. during August, because it seems as if the calendar turned to September and they just forgot. They reverted back to how they were playing in April and in May. Not going to cut it if they want to get into this wild card. Again, listen, everybody, the wild card is a single game elimination. So you're going to have to show and prove for that one game, whether it be against the Cubs, whether it's against the Brewers, who have just lost Christian Yelich to a fractured kneecap or something like that.
Yep, fractured kneecap, hit the ball off his knee, gotta hurt.
Oh man, that's not a pain. That's not pretty at all.
That's up 2-0 in the second. By the way, update.
We like that. They need look. This is the Nats team basically over the history since they've been back in Washington. They will they'll go 3 games without scoring maybe more than 2 runs. Then one game they'll score 20, and then they'll revert back to 2-1, 3 runs a game. They consistently have to get at least, especially with this bullpen, 5 runs a game. 5 runs a game. That's what's going to cut it. When they were on fire during June, July, August, they were scoring runs ad nauseum. They were scoring 5 runs a game. They have to get back to that. That's how they're going to be able to win. That's how they're going to be able to advance in the playoffs, because they're going to be facing better pitching when the playoffs come around. But if they can get that hitting to turn back around, I should say, they're really and truly their lineup is back. Adam Eaton had missed some time against the Mets the previous week, as well as the Braves. Brian Dozier did the same. They were resting some guys up for this September run, which that's look. I was guy number 1 on the get rid of Davey train. Okay. Not necessarily get rid of Davey, but it was more or less, and I, talked to another baseball friend about this. It wasn't necessarily against Davey. It was more or less about how Dusty was let go. That has a lot of people in their feelings. I was definitely one of them, not even going to lie. But Davey has turned things around, and he's done a bang-up job this season. Now, if they end up missing the playoffs, is that going to be on Davey? A little bit, but he's done that well of a job in order to get these guys in the position that they are now. So I'll give him credit for that. I have no problem with giving people credit when credit's due. So the Nats, they have to play with a little bit more confidence. It seems as if they were playing a little timid down in Atlanta as well as against Minnesota. They played afraid. They played not as cocky as they had been. They got to get back to that having fun, the baby shark, Gerardo Parra, the sunglasses, the high five. They got to get back to that type of baseball and having fun. And, even if you're, tied 0-0, you can still have fun. You can still talk it up. You can still do those things. You just got to keep that stuff going. I got to get their swag back. So that's probably key number 1 for the Nationals. And then my next thing is a big question, and I'm probably going to be pounding this drum until, a possible deal gets done, is, will this team, will the Lerners, will the Nationals, will Mike Rizzo, will they make a reasonable, keyword, reasonable offer to Anthony Rendon in order to make him stay? And second part of that question, will Rendon actually take the offer, or will he just go for the open market? Want some of your thoughts. Colvin Underwood checking in on the Nats. Their schedule is tough right now. They made a run versus a soft schedule. Yes, they did, but they did beat some good teams as well. So don't downplay how they've played. They will have to gut it out. Who do you want in a wild card game? Strauss, Max, or Corbin? At this point, I would say Strasburg until Max is healthy. Now, on Sunday, he was good against the Braves. I think the Braves may have said, one of those things was like, all right, if we don't get up early on Strauss, we might have to, tone it back a little bit, get ready for a rough week, because they were facing the Phillies. They're facing the Phillies right now in Philadelphia. But, I probably would say Strauss. Strauss has been the better pitcher for the Nationals this season. Now what's funny is that the tables have turned. Scherzer was the guy that missed a lot of time this season, and Strasburg has been kind of the main constant that has been there for the Nationals. So hopefully we can get to that situation where we're in a wild card. Hopefully we are able to make that decision. Right now, the Nats are 2.5 games up on the Cubs as far as the wild card home advantage in the wild card is concerned. But, if they end up slipping and sliding and out of that wild card situation, we'll be home the Nats will be home in October. So, it would be great in order if they're able to, have that question come at the end of this month. Hockey's back. Yes, hockey's back. The Capitals will have media day tomorrow. They start their training camp pretty soon. Ovi was all around town, or I should say all around Arlington on Tuesday, promoting his Ovios cereal. Ovios, not OVO Drake, not the liquor, not the sweatshirts, not that Ovios. There's an S. There's an S at the end. OVOs. Make sure you catch that. You can catch them at Giants all around the DMV area. So if you are in the store, kids, if you are listening, tell your parents to get OVOs. Okay? I mean, it's good, I think. I have to check it out. All right. All right, college football. The Terps beat Syracuse. Wait, what? Wait, huh? Wait, hold up. Time out. The Maryland Terrapins are good at football?
They dropped 42 in the first half.
What? What is going on here? Again, like I said at the opening of the show, who transplanted Tuscaloosa and brought them to College Park? Oh, wait, Mike Loxley. Yes, Mike Loxley. Really good job from him. Has these guys believing. And now mind you, DJ Durkin had the guys believing 2 years ago as well as last year. I failed to remember the interim coach's name, the offense coordinator. But, they were playing well up until the end of September.
Matt Canada.
Yes, Matt Canada. Thank you very much. They were playing well up until the end of September when they got into the meat and bones of the Big Ten schedule. But, hopefully they can keep this going. You got to be Temple.
Got to
be Temple. That can't be a trap game for you. Yes, I know you're looking forward to Penn State on a Friday night, national TV, the whole nine, but you have to be Temple. Don't fall short against Temple. Temple is...
Happened last year. They beat Texas and then lost to Temple the following week.
Yeah, exactly. So don't... In bowling, I don't know why I bring this reference back up. In bowling, you roll a strike. You roll 8 strikes in a row. Then you roll a gutter ball. Don't roll the gutter ball after a strike. Screws up your score. All right. Let's get back to Redskins. Keys to the game against the Cowboys. Listen, Lake Lewis already went over it. Basically, if the Redskins want to win this game, they have to take away Zeke Elliott and make Dak Prescott beat them. I totally agree with that 1,000%. It's all got to be on Dak Prescott. Now, the other key to that is if they're going to have Dak Prescott beat them, they're going to have a spy on him because Dak can use his legs, okay? It's going to have to be probably John Bostic. Cole Holcomb, who led the Redskins in tackles last week, a rookie.
5th round.
A rookie led them in tackles last week. So he's probably going to be on Zeke. Bostic's probably going to be on Dak as a spy. And then you let everybody else play how they play. Josh Norman's got to cover Amari Cooper. He can't do
one-on-one or
whatever he's got to do. If he's got to put a leash on him or whatever, do it. Something's got to happen. He's got to be able to stick with them. Quentin Dunbar, hopefully he's healthy. Going to have to do that. We'll see what the health is with Jonathan Allen and Monte Nicholson, but who neither one of those guys practiced today. They were off to the side. So those are going to be your keys to the game. Got to get the Cowboy offense off the field. You can't allow the third down conversions for the Cowboys to be above 60%. It's got to be under 50. It's got to. You can't allow them to continually get first downs on third down.
Yeah, I think that's going to be huge because the Cowboys have a rookie play caller, Kellen Moore. It looked good last week, but that's where the Redskins have an advantage. An experienced defensive coordinator. Hopefully, he can win some of those key third downs that extend drives and ultimately decide games.
And that's why I say you gotta have a spy on Dak Prescott because he can get to the first down with his legs. Yep. He can do that. So you've got to get off the field on third down. That was something Jay was obviously frustrated about. He was, in his post-game press conference as well as on Monday. He was very upset about that. He was also upset about penalties. You got to be disciplined, which is another thing Lake talked about with us earlier on the show. You've got to be disciplined as far as penalties are concerned. No holdings, no false starts, no offsides. We understand if there's, pass interferences, you don't want them, but you don't want to give up an easy touchdown either because you never know. Also, one thing that I, again, brought up earlier in the show is sacks, okay? how many sacks will it take for the Redskins to beat the Cowboys? It's an interesting stat. Wanted to bring it up because this Redskins defense and the defensive line is supposed to be good this season. So, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen if he plays, Kerrigan, Montez Sweat, Ryan Anderson, Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle. These guys and the linebackers, Holcomb, Landon Collins probably may come on a blitz or two or something like that. How many sacks over under will it take to beat the Cowboys? I'm going to go with 5, just like I did last week. If they can get 5 sacks, the Redskins probably can and should beat the Cowboys. Can and should beat the Cowboys. That's not factoring in any turnovers by either team or what have you. But again, if you get those sacks, that means you might be getting to them on third down, stopping third downs. So 5 over and under. That's what we'll go with. I'm gonna say 5. I'm gonna set the mark at 5. If they're over, they definitely win. If they're under, not so much. Not so much. All right. With that said, that'll do it for this episode of Redskins Relaunch. You can catch each and every episode of Redskins Relaunch. It's archived on the DMVSTREAM.COM website. You can catch all of our other shows, including high school sports on DMVSTREAM.COM. You can catch everything there, DMVSTREAM.COM, for some of your best local sports coverage. I'm your host, Winston Hylton. Nick, the man hitting the switches over there in the corner, thank you very much. Let's hope your fantasy teams do a lot better this week. I hope mine do as well. I hope yours do as well, unless you're facing me, in which case you need to suffer. With that said, Redskins Relaunch, we're out. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week.
This content is brought to you by Dental Associates. For more than 39 years, Dr. Stephen Price has been practicing dentistry in Northern Virginia.